This is 4 prayers for the new year. 1. Before the age of 13, I had my head shaved 4 times at various South Indian temples for religious and cultural reasons. Tonsure in Hinduism is metaphoric. The baring of the skull meant to represent a cleansing of the soul, a total absolution and submission to God. Therefore, Tamilian parents may subject their children to this tradition when they do particularly well on a math test, or like me, have lived their entire life in a foreign country. I remember well the pujari or priest taking a straight razor to my skull gently, but in sudden long strokes as if shucking corn husks, the back of my head newly bare and tingling. Once in Tirupati temple in Andhra Pradesh, under the gilt dome of Avinamam and the bejeweled eye of Lord Sri Venkateswaran, my cousin and I both had our heads shaved, then massaged with cool sandalwood paste. We were carried off bald and emboldened on the shoulders of our relatives, feeling like little heroes and treating accordingly by the aunties who fed us laddus for the rest of the day. Apparently, Tirupati harvests over a ton of human hair every day, raising over $6 million for the treasuries after auctioning off shorn hair to the wig makers. But I didn't know nor care about that back then. Standing in front of a mirror, pulling back my hair to inspect my slowly receding hairline with the dispassionate gaze of an environmental geologist considering the effects of coastal erosion, I pray to feel again the way I did as that young boy who had lost all his hair. 2. How many times have I been ripped off? Once at Action Automotive in Berlin, Connecticut, pronounced with the accent on the first syllable, so that according to urban legend, the town would not be confused with its German counterpart, where Dave, the mechanic, wiped his greasy hands on his coveralls and assured me that he had the perfect vehicle for me, a 1998 VW Passat, fully loaded and meticulously inspected, that he would sell to me for less than Blue Book. Flash forward 2 months, stranded on the side of the highway, green liquid dripping onto the asphalt, sulfuric smoke dissipating skyward. No warranty means that for only $2,000, Dave would be happy to repair the transmission. Another mechanical swindle. Note to self, don't buy objects the working of which you don't understand, at least not without an expert in tow. This time in northern Cyprus, regarded as occupied territory by everyone save Turkey, where I'm on exchange with a faculty member at Eastern Mediterranean University and living in Famagusta. Every day on my way to work, I pass a storefront that has mechanical airplanes, remote control tanks, and in place of prominence in the window, a shiny chrome blue scooter available for the equivalent of $500. The shop owner tells me that Jamal owns the bike, and when he arrives, he's swarthy with tattooed biceps and a denim vest. He doesn't speak English, so the owner translates from Turkish. Jamal says, oh, he never raced this bike. Keep it top quality. He aftermarket the engine super prime. Convinced, I buy the bike. 5 kilometers from the shop, it sputters to a halt. I push it back to the store, sweating and panting, where Jamal is lounging out front, smoking a Camel. Not only does he refuse to fix the bike, he feigns ignorance, claims never to have laid eyes upon me, nor on the bike. The owner shrugs apologetically. Sorry, Jamal, always a little bit children. Crazy. But once you leave store, I know not what happens to the bike. Second note to self, never buy a scooter from a man named Jamal. Years earlier at Place Pigalle on the border between the 9th and 18th arrondissement in Paris, near the street with the Sexodrome and the Grand Guignol Theater, where a Toulouse-Lautrec-sized Moroccan man with a knitted coolie cap and patched corduroys sold me a baggie of subpar herbe de Provence. My college friends and I smoked 2.5 full joints before finally convincing ourselves we had been taken. I recall our trembling anticipation turning virulently to disgusted sophomoric curses. I also remember whether that extra half joint was really necessary. Remembering my vivid, recurrently hateful dreams of humiliating Dave Jamal and the Moroccan dwarf, making them grovel before me penitent and embarrassed, I pray that my spirit will release their burdens and that I can forgive them once and for all. 3. Without desire, would I become serene, emergent, responsive to higher vibrations, able to look down at my body as an odd, miraculous quirk of muscle and bone, to mull myself from an astral plane on the path to becoming a bodhisattva? Or would I be a pallid, languid sponge, a veritable non-entity soaking up nutrients, incapable of being swept away by any great passion or transformed into something resembling the thunderhead and the tidal wave? What about the plethysmograph, that instrument used to measure vaginal blood flow and lubrication, which shows that the range of potential arousal is much greater in women than it is in men? What is it about pronouncing those syllables slowly? Plethysmograph. Maybe even putting a suffix onto it, turning it into a condition, a mania, plethysmographia. That gets me kind of hard. Why is it so hard for me to write the word hard? That when reading this sentence, I blush, but simultaneously don't want to admit to myself that I am blushing, nor that I am hard. Then there's that silent film from the early 1920s starring the androgynous Ivor Novella called The Man Without Desire, about an 18th century Venetian put into suspended animation only to reawaken in the 20th century, finding life drab and savorless. The same Ivor Novella who seduced, then just as quickly discarded the poet Sigfrid Sassoon, who destroyed his diary entries from that period in response. Remembering that line from a Browning poem from the film, what if the soul was left, I wonder, when the kissing had to stop? I wonder how Sassoon might have responded to that question. The problem of sex seems to me that the act of doing it can never satisfy the desire for doing it. Take the Sanskrit word tanha, which means craving and is considered a primary cause in the arising of dukkha, or suffering. As opposed to aspiration or monlam, a longing for something can lead to greater mindfulness and eventual liberation from suffering. Desire, I tell myself, you are not its father. It is not your child. Repeat, rinse, repeat. But then I see a gloved finger searching a scalloped coin purse, or the supple whirl of a prize-winning orchid, and my mantra disappears in the moist air. I pray to be able to differentiate between healthy and unhealthy desire. 4. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. The new year, a time of rebirth and resolution, born out of reflection on the year that has passed. Surveillance, twerking, healthcare, gun violence, hashtags, sequesters, the Pope, drones, debt, a litany for the talking heads. But sitting at my desk, wrinkling my brow in resemblance, it is the Sufi dervishes who come to mind, conjured in a chapel in Athens, Georgia by Coleman Barks, who reads his translations of Rumi in a Chattanooga drawl, the words spitting out from his mouth like electrons around a nucleus. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as unexpected vision. Whatever ills I suffered, and last year there were plenty to choose from a broken finger that still hasn't straightened itself out, to having my laptop with a summer's worth of writing pilfered on a Metro North train. Whatever joys from being feted by the American Embassy to Singapore to see my daughter score her first goal in Pee Wee soccer, I find I'm neither the sum nor the apotheosis of this experience, positive or negative. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent out as a guide from beyond. Could it be that everything that happened to me happened to you as well? That I am the Syrian family whose home has been shelled to rubble, and you are the unburied corpses in the wake of Super Typhoon Haiyan? That I am the British grandmother sentenced to death for being a drug mule in Indonesia, and you are Nelson Mandela taken off his life support machine in South Africa? That I filter through you like water through an aquifer, leaving us both permeable, porous, conglomerate and fractured in perpetual clamorous motion, and yet thereby stilled into silence. That each of us, each one of us, is a single stitch in a vast expanding tapestry, the edges of which unfurl in space and time far beyond what we're capable of seeing. Je suis un autre, the French visionary poet Rimbaud famously wrote. I is someone else. Let's amend that statement to proclaim, je vous suis. I am you. Me in you. You you and me, we and each other. I pray to be able, clearly and on a daily basis, to see and to act according to such utter, ineradicable interconnectedness. Thank you. All right, and I'll just finish with a couple of poems that I've never read. I have a book coming out next spring of ekphrastic poems and collaborations. And these are all collaborations that started the same way. I send poets about a dozen lines, and they choose a line to respond to and send it back to me, and we kind of go back and forth, sometimes physically through postcards, but other times just through email. And I haven't really read from this book. Maybe I'll read. So this is a collaboration with the terrific San Francisco poet Camille Dungy. This is called Something About Grandfathers. Fit a fastener around inside and out. Twist it tight, then tighter until intent bulges to bursting, the way an eyeball cartoon pops from the face of a strangled boy. Consider a Christmas menagerie, complete with plastic wise men carrying neon frankincense and fool's gold. Gold and something we'll call myrrh. This is how we hold on. Because hope can satirize itself, yet remains sincere, devout. Your mother has you up before dawn because it's Easter. Worship before the eggs and ham and all of this and all of that. Hold on like this or some other way, say with a shoebox full of her father's military medals. The slim portion of them you know flattened into tin and ribbon. Hold the ribbon like a subway strap because this car moves, shudders on rails faster than a voice floating above a staircase that belonged once to him who might call you by that pet name, might break you some brittle in his calloused hands were you to climb the stairs. Hold on, who's gone? The estimated average is greater than 1 death per second. Wave upon particular wave, incessant. Even ritual, which is what we have to cope with, breaks down like candy in a fist. Faster, soon, even this thought, fear not, will be gone like dust into piles, into bins, like air from the cheeks into the trumpet's bell, fuzzed by a mute into movement that charges the room, electric before the old man in overalls brings out the mop. Gone like 8 tracks, wound down to a stretched out voice, slowing to crawl as a tape deck shreds tape after the car door closes to leave an echo hanging in the canyon where it was shouted, the red fields growing bird, then buried in snow. All right, and I'll just read, one more here. I think we still have a nonfiction piece. Let's see, one that I have never read. These really should be in 2 voices, and it's too bad I don't have the collaborators here, because it would be great to hear them. But the greatest collaborations, of course, are when you can't tell what you've written, what the other person has written, and some new third thing emerges. Actually, maybe I'll read this. All right, so I'll just finish with this, because it's going to be the centenary, I think, of Sinatra's birth. And I teach with a Frank Sinatra scholar and a classicist, and it's a little disturbing. His bedroom has more pictures of Sinatra than his own family. I'm not sure what to make of that. But he edited a collection of Frank Sinatra poems, and so I'll just end with this little poem. And you'll hear the echo of Frank O'Hara. If you know that great poem of his, The Day Lady Died, about Billie Holiday, you'll hear the inflections of that. So this is called The Day the Voice Died, and it's after Frank O'Hara. Has a little epigraph from Sinatra. If you possess something but can't give it away, then you don't possess it. It possesses you. The day the voice died. It is nearly 1:50 in New York, a Thursday, Dante Alighieri and George Lucas's birthday. Anniversary of the day Jamestown was settled. Yes, and it is not last call, not in the self-proclaimed center of the world, where the gas is poured till the slivery moon is closer to light than dark. And I'm boxed in by finks who think they're big leaguers when the game's wiffle ball, pawing their cell phones and high-fiving. And wouldn't it have been perfect if Blue Eyes came on the jukebox and a busload of Bobby Soxers poured in? But oh no, this is real life 1998, and I'm holding a watered-down vodka tonic in a haze of smoke, and there are no screws wearing suits with fabric finer in the lining than upon slim lapels. No crooning, no loose swagger, hardly anyone carrying a Zippo and a roll of dimes. And I will finish my drink, walk down the Avenue of the Americas to the ACE line running local, moving slower than I should, in synchronicity with cabs idling curbside, and across the Hudson, Hoboken, which I can't see, glittering languidly. One might even say, except for this fact of real life, in a pose of mourning, pouring wave after wave of brass and bel canto from here to eternity. Thank you very much.